tell me when you're recording. Hi, Christopher McLeod, Predator MMA, Akron, Ohio. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that every time I train with something that a lot of people consider close to the source, with one of the Gracies or one of the older school Brazilian Jiu practitioners, one thing that is really stressed is the self-defense aspect of the art. Something that I myself got into this art because of. When I deal with a lot of newer students, and a lot of people who are white belts and 6-month students asking me for things about Spider Guard or X Guard or DPAF, and it kind of baffles me because at that point the fundamentals still aren't ingrained. So if you're a newer student, my recommendation to you is drill the fundamentals, because when you get the opportunity, if you're lucky enough to, you'll roll with somebody who is an older school person, one of those Gracies or Machados or Francis, or any of the guys that have that base where the fundamentals were drilled and ingrained in them so repeatedly that what they do to you pisses you off, because you have your guard, you're doing things that you think your level has jumped up here, and then they do basic guard, open the guard, reach around, grab your collar, stack you in half, and you can do nothing. And when it happens, it really reinforces how important those fundamentals are. But in addition to the fundamental jiu-jitsu aspects, there's the reasoning behind jiu-jitsu being created, and that is self-defense as a martial art, as a fighting martial art, as a way for you to defend yourself as a smaller person against a larger individual. When I talk to a lot of those people, those older school practitioners, I get the impression a lot of times that they are disappointed because what they helped to create is being mutated. Now, I personally, I don't believe in the mutation. I believe that sport, especially sport for the purpose of sport, is great. It's good. There's so many things that benefit from competing, from competition. But I heard someone say this, and I can't remember who, that jiu-jitsu, when it was created, was for the purpose of fighting another martial art, beating another martial artist, a street fighter, a bigger guy, but another martial artist. And now jiu-jitsu is created and being practiced and changed to be jiu-jitsu. Because of that, and that's very true, there are a lot of aspects of jiu-jitsu, such as striking, that have changed because I have to do a scissor sweep differently to pull it off on somebody. And we'll use the scissor sweep as a perfect example. If I was with Aaron, if I was in my guard, and I'm doing a scissor sweep where I have this hand deep and I'm rolling here, and I shift my hips out and I come across, and I'm starting to look for an original scissor sweep situation. I'm not dealing with him punching. Whereas in a situation where the punches are coming in, the punches being thrown, I may have to try to throw my scissor sweep from a position where I'm controlling hips, using this knee as more of a way to defend myself against his pressure. Because he's not trying to do this type of thing to pass. He's trying to tee off and hit me in the head. So when that's happening, the weight is already coming forward. Other aspects of this become more important because of the fact that when I'm defending and he's throwing those punches, they're coming across. It makes it a little easier to get control. And because the weight's coming forward, the scissor sweep can be done with its fundamental movements versus doing a jiu-jitsu competition when the person is doing this and dropping their shoulders down. And I have to change my scissor sweep or my setups in order to do it quicker so that they don't see it coming, or I have to do it in a fashion that will accommodate those movements that he's doing to counter my scissor sweep. But that's not necessary against someone who is on the street or another martial artist. A karate guy, for example, a boxer. In fact, that might be detrimental One good example of this is maybe setting up a triangle. Because of jiu-jitsu, I found myself, and this was something that I was corrected on just recently, and it's only corrected for the street usage, not for martial arts, for a sport purpose, is that if I go for a triangle, if I'm hitting just I can be doing a feed triangle where I put my foot through. I can be doing it from here where I shoot this over top. And if I hit the point, at this point, where I'm trying to hit my angle for the triangle, I've been taught over and over and over, however it is that I'm going to hit my triangle. When I'm coming, then I put my foot in the hip, lift my hip, I get head control, I hit the angle. If I need to adjust on the hip, because if I put it down, the jiu-jitsu practitioner pins it. Now I can't finish my triangle. If I am in a jiu-jitsu tournament, and that's well and good and very true. And it's something you need to remember if you are doing this in a tournament against another jiu-jitsu practitioner, of how they're going to stop that triangle attempt one way that they might do that. However, if I'm doing this on the street, that foot should go to the ground, because the hip is only this far. There's this much of it. Some people there's a little more, but there's only this much of it. The ground, there's a lot of the ground. I can be here, my foot goes down. My foot is here, my foot goes down. I adjust here on the ground. I can go anywhere when I put it on the ground. I don't have to hit that hip. And more to the point, I'm dealing with this situation here in a matted room with no shoes on, ugly feet, gi, easy to put my foot in that hip. If I'm out on the street in the winter wearing big boots, lugs or whatever they're called, and he's wearing a big flannel jacket and whatever, all these different aspects to my foot going in that hip, that makes it harder and harder and harder to do, to hit that hip and be able to use it for that leverage. Where the ground, just as simple. But that's something that I forget to talk about, forget to drill, and I think it's really important that as we continue in our practicing jiu-jitsu, that we don't focus so much on sport or forget what the benefits of that sport can be, that we lose how jiu-jitsu should originally have been practiced and can be practiced again, not only to deal with strikes, but to not mutate the fundamental movements of jiu-jitsu so much, or forget them. There can be more than one version of something, but you have to know there's more than one version so that you can pull it off in more than one situation. So I think that's pretty much my rant for today. Thank you very much for listening, and go train jiu-jitsu.